To mankind, outer space as we know it is the final frontier, enigmatic and mysterious with its countless lights and wonders, but we seem to forget that fact, that as we know it, we know very little of space and what else is out there. Maybe that is why we as humans are hardwired to search through the unknown, to find an answer to things we do not understand, the things we fear. I, however, think that these fears are getting out of hand, especially when it comes to alien life. Sure, a meteor could obliterate us, the landmasses could fracture and flood, or we could wipe ourselves out with WMDs, but the likelihood of these things should not be our only focus when we think about our future as a race. The same can be said for interaction with alien races. Just like how nature and science can both destroy and provide for us, so too can contact with other sentient species be both beneficial and detrimental. But expecting the worst as a culture is simply illogical. Yes, we should be aware and prepare for the worst case scenarios, but pop culture and media have programmed these strong fears into its audience without any real understanding. Aliens are often depicted as the same way as movie monsters, but if we did face an alien invasion, running in panic and fear would do little for our continued survival. As far as alien life goes, we only have speculation to work with. We can look at the life forms and organisms here on our planet and try and imagine what would be possible if they come from a completely different world or had intelligence equal to or greater than our own. This causes fear to play a big factor in our perceptions, when we have to use our imagination to fill in the gaps. Sure, a spider or a snake or a crocodile is scary, but it becomes a lot more scary when that snake, crocodile, or spider can shoot a gun, open a door, and might be here to either enslave or eat you. It's important to take note that not all our depictions of aliens are monstrous, but some of the things we have come to expect from visitors from far-off world might be over the top. I believe we are all familiar with a certain popular and one of the most powerful aliens we have come to imagine, a humanoid who is affected by radiation from Earth's sun. For us, this causes cancer and mutation. For him, super strength and heat vision. This is a common trait of humans, to reflect our own weaknesses as a strength of the monster entities that we have come to fear. So what is within the realm of realistic to expect? We are aware that things out there scare us, and we fear that the more intelligent they are, the more powerless we will be against them. But some visions of this are simply meant to play off of our most basic fears for entertainment. Others are meant only to wow us with unknown, but again, we as humans have an innate fear of the unknown. So let's say an alien race is advanced enough to travel to Earth. It is possible that we might not be able to rule out brutal hunting trip, but if they are so advanced as to think nothing us more than wild animals, it is equally likely they just might simply avoid us. If we assume that we are of any interest to them, they would study us, and many believe that they have been doing so for years, which leaves people identifying with the frog and finding themselves on the wrong end of a dissection table. Testing is probably one of the few things we can be certain to expect, though, but we cannot be sure that it would all be malicious. We perform many tests on our planet's wildlife with the hope of helping them in the future, so we can guess that the same could be possible for our celestial neighbors. If they possess the level of technology to make it to Earth, then biological weapons would be the logical assumption and the best course of action for annihilating us in one go. It is possible this could take days or even decades to complete, but if they came to Earth with the intent of risking war, it would be unintelligent to not acquire information on their enemies. In the 2005 movie War of the Worlds, humanity was spared due to microorganisms, but it could just as easily been weasels or honeybees. It's not realistic that a space-traveling race would make such a deadly miscalculation. Taking a look at movies such as When Mars Attacks or Independence Day, we can only wonder why such advanced races would put themselves at high risk simply to take over one planet. If it was more than entertainment after the aliens' defeat, nobody would be celebrating because it would only be natural to expect another wave of attacks. If they do not wish for destruction and maybe just enslavement, a great show of force to invoke surrender would be the best course of action against the human race. Sending troops to invade a planet and collect civilians with small ships seems tedious and unrealistic. Why waste so many resources if they are in such desperate need of them that they need to conquer another planet? But if they did want to enslave us, what would be the proper purpose of that? Assuming that they need workers to mine Earth resources, we have developed many machines for that purpose, and reverse engineering them would be kind of easy since we have a lot of blueprints readily available. Even the cost of our survival could prove high if we require different resources for nourishment such as food or oxygen. All of this previously mentioned, however, all assumes anything about these species compatible with our own. If the homeworld is vastly different from Earth, say gas-based or formed of living metal, it's not likely that their ideas of useful resources would fall into the same categories as our own. So what real use do we hold for another species? Yes, it's possible there are materials that are rare to them, but it's just as likely that those materials offer nothing for their advancement. We also must realize that Earth is not the only planet in our solar system. We have gas planets, planets with varying size, weather, and temperatures, and simply because we are unaware of the life forms there, and we cannot make the assumption that Earth-like planets are the only ones that hold life. In our own history, we have seen civilization conquer one another, and naturally we would expect the same to be possible for an alien race. In fact, our history proves that to be the most likely outcome when a civilization more advanced comes along. But once again, it is irrational to assume that all alien races would definitely share the same character traits as us humans. The human race has to come to understand that life as we know it is confined to our own planet, a small and very limited ecosystem when compared to the vastness of the known cosmos. Earth-like planets might house Earth-like species, but a more Saturn-like or Mercury-like world in another solar system could have been the cradle for a different breed of existence altogether. We'd not be able to survive on Venus and Mars, but maybe others can, so what harm would that pose for us? I think pop culture is important when dealing with these possible what-ifs, like aliens or the less likely zombie attack, because they can bestow valuable information if such an incident were to happen. But if things become based on high levels of fantasy, we lose that perk to fear. Fear that we are incapable and only by the human ability to persevere, some shall survive. Yes, we should be wary of alien life, but should we expect to have to shoot every blue-skinned tentacle creature that we come across? The answer is no. We'll need allies when war does finally come to our planet, and I'd rather have some people on my side than against me, even if those people are not human.